Hey, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. Happy New Year. I'm your host, Joe Slupski, and this is the first episode of the 2017 year. We're going to kick it off with a bang with my special guest, a friend of the show. You've seen him before. You've heard him before, Mr. Paul Galliano.
Ow! Thank you, Joe.
Paul, welcome
Happy
back
New
to
Year.
Joe on Joe. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, man.
You got it, man. Well, I'm excited because the last time we had our old theme song, and this time we have our new theme song by Jay Flax and the Heart Attacks.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome. I've been digging hearing that.
Yeah, I love it. And remember, you can find them. They're an East Coast band, and you can find them on Facebook. I believe it's like Jay Flax on Facebook. And check them out. They're really great. And we appreciate the music that they gave us. So, Paul, New Year's.
Yeah, man.
Are you excited about this year?
I think it's going to be a great year.
I
got a lot of stuff going on, and I'm eager to see where life takes me next.
You certainly do, and let's talk about some of that stuff going on. So if you guys remember from last episode, Paul is an actor.
That's right.
He's out here in L.A. He's a very talented guy. Last time we talked to him, he was doing a stage show.
Mm-hmm.
And this time when I talked to him, he has a television show.
That is correct.
That is currently available on many outlets, but most prominently, you can find it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, that'll be the easiest way to find it.
And the show is called Now What?
That's right. Now what? Question mark, exclamation point at the end. It's
Tell us a little about it.
All right, so the premise is it takes this idea that people wear a mask, and when they're courting someone or dating someone or trying to get someone into bed, they kind of never really let their true selves be seen for fear or whatever. And but until you get to the point of actually bedding that person or having just had sex with them, you never really show your true self. So this show focuses on like the mask coming off and the pillow talk aspect of when you really kind of get to know someone after having just been very intimate with them.
So it's a relationship show.
It's a relationship show, yes.
Okay, so it's not like, for a minute there, as you were describing it, I was picturing like an alien invasion show. So like after you meet someone, you fall in love. You
the mask.
like everything. Yeah, everything, you're like everything's
fembot.
Going great. Right, it's a fembot. It's
Right.
a lizard person.
Yeah,
You know.
it's the species chick.
Yeah. So it's not a sci-fi.
No,
it's not a sci-fi
it's
action
not
adventure.
that. It's a very like just raw, organic, real life, low key kind of relationship show for sure. And I gotta say, it's rated TV MA and it's not suitable for work. So
Okay.
You'll see a little bit of skin, nothing graphic, but
See a little bit of your skin.
Yeah. I'm in every episode. I'm the lead on it. So.
You are the lead. That's super exciting. But so ladies and germs, if you're out there, want to see a little bit of Paul Galliano, go check out Now What on Amazon.
Well, it was really interesting too because through the entire shooting process, the only wardrobe I ever had was the modesty pouch just to cover the goods, you know? So
The entire process?
the entire process.
You're
because
nude the whole show?
the whole show. The whole show takes place as the pillow talk. It's all in the bed.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
For 6 episodes.
For 6 episodes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Last time I spoke to him, he said he was teasing me with this, and he's like, we haven't released it, or I can't really talk about it yet. So just last night, actually, I just found out that it was live and we could stream it. So I haven't been able to watch it yet.
No, yeah.
But now I'm champing at the bit to see it.
Well,
a modesty pouched Paul Galliano. That's fantastic.
it was funny too because I showed the trailer to some of my close friends from high school while I was back home for the holidays, and they all were super excited, and there have been several hilarious, in good fun, jestful text messages that have been sent since they've started watching the show. So yeah, I can take it. It's fun. So I think I made it through all 6 episodes though, with only showing my butt twice.
That's fantastic. Well, it's much easier to take when you're cashing a check.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, nothing's distasteful. So I mean, I never felt like I was compromising my integrity in any way.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's available on Amazon. It's not like it's you have to go to crazy dark corners of the web to find it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to watching it. And
Thanks,
next time we have you on, I'll have a full review of your show. And
Oh,
I'll be like, you need to hit the gym more because I'm tired of looking at your flabby abs.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started. Like actors don't have enough of that in their mind already.
This from me. Oh man, well I'm excited. Today's episode is we're gonna watch The Gods Below.
Yes,
which is an episode around Cobra infiltrating like an Egyptian tomb.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little crazier than I typically like my G.I. Joe episodes.
Yeah, it's out there.
But before we get into that, I also let's talk. So Paul is probably the biggest Joe fan that I know out here.
Awesome.
Like, you, for real. More than me, even. You're rabid about it.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. And I've got, like, a long history with it.
Yeah.
But you're, like, modernly rabid about it.
Yeah,
which is so cool.
It can be scary sometimes. So.
And so, like, we were at a New Year's thing, and Paul was over. I was showing him my action figures. And
great collection, man.
It was
like, one of the best I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's very kind of you. It was just a lot of fun. We were getting into it. And I show up today to record, and she pulls out, he's got these picture cards that we had from his birthday party.
Yeah.
And on these picture cards, he said, here, take one, forgot to get one for the birthday party. I'm like, thank you. I grabbed Major Blood because I love Major Blood. I think he's underused, right?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I thought I was kind of down with Major Blood. I thought I was aware of what was up with Major Blood. Oh, no. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Paul tells me, and maybe everyone knew this, but I'm telling you, I don't have any recollection of this. Major Blood has a robotic right arm.
Yep. That's not just armor he wears on his right arm, guys. He has a synthetic arm. Limb.
Yeah, I think if I remember the file card correctly, I think I commented on how I always thought that square arm of his, the armor that I thought was just regular armor.
Uh-huh.
I always thought that was weird. But, okay, it's a style choice. They give him like a square arm. But it's a robot arm, you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and if you look like right at the shoulder, you can kind of see where it's cut off. It looks like it's, affixed there.
Yeah. Now that you say that,
yeah.
You look closely at this, and we're looking at the picture that would have been on his actual action figure from back in the day, the one with, the explosion, the red, yellow, and white explosion behind him. And you can clearly see that, it looks like a cybernetic arm attached to his right shoulder. I don't ever remember that being addressed anywhere in the comics. Now, you say in Renegades, which is a series that I do plan on covering eventually on the show.
Awesome.
I've seen a lot of that series. I have it on DVD. I've not yet watched all of it.
It's great.
But apparently there's an episode where they show it getting eaten.
Yeah, they show you the genesis of that whole thing, and
what gets eaten by an alligator or something.
Yep, he's in the swamp. He's after the Joes, and
well, first of all, there's a swamp in G.I. Joe. I'm shocked.
I know.
Shocking.
It's hard to believe, but yes, they staged some action in a swamp area.
G.I. Joe is staged action in a swamp. Okay, go proceed.
Yeah, and I mean, this is going to be a spoiler, so skip ahead a little bit if you guys don't want to get a Renegade spoiler. But yeah, so he's about to blast the Joes, and then this crocodile, alligator, whatever, just out of the water and snaps his arm right off, drags him under the water with him. The Joes get away. And then he resurfaces, and he's clutching this stump on the right side of his body, and he just looks at the water towards the gator and is like, choke on it.
Really?
Yeah, walks away. It's pretty epic.
That's pretty great. Did he have the eye patch at the time then, or did the alligator also get his eye too? Like, was it?
Oh, that's what I love about Renegades, how they show the origin of everything. They show you how he ended up with his eye patch.
Oh,
too.
really?
The first time he appears on the show, no eye patch, no nothing. Yeah, he's just this badass
just
mercenary.
a suave-looking dude.
Yeah. He's got
like
this funky haircut, shaved head on the sides, and like a mohawk down the middle.
Really?
But a long mohawk that you can like comb.
Yeah. Well, actually, if he looks a little bit, looking at this picture of him, if you take the eye patch off and take off that crazy helmet that he does have a crazy helmet.
Yeah.
He looks a lot like the bad guy from the movie Commando, who also in turn looked like Freddie Mercury.
All right, wait. Are we talking? Is this the guy that ends up with let off some steam? Bennett?
Yeah, Bennett.
Okay, awesome.
Bennett, yeah.
I see that. Yeah,
right.
And
do you know the story behind that about if you ever look closely in that movie, which I freaking love Commando.
Me too.
That was a staple of my diet growing up. If you look closely, the outfit, the clothing that he wears is really like poorly fitted to him. Like he looks like
kind of frumpy.
Yeah, he looks like he's a weird dresser.
Yeah,
it's because they had someone else cast for the role.
Really,
entirely.
What?
And they had all the wardrobe made for this other dude who, and memory escapes me exactly who it was, but he came in at the last minute to play the role, and I think he did a great job of it.
Like, I loved him.
Scenery chewing, like awesome.
Oh yeah,
but he didn't fit the clothing.
That's
so
crazy.
That's why he looks so kind of weirdly frumpy, like you say.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of an odd looking bad guy because he literally did not fit the suit.
Wow, that's like a last minute casting change too. They literally throw him into the role in the same wardrobe that the other actor.
You know what? I mean that took someone else to greatness, Hugh Jackman.
What?
Do you know about with Wolverine? That
No.
The original cast for the first X-Men movie was a guy called Doug Ray Scott, who was in one of the he was shooting one of the Mission Impossible movies at the time.
Okay.
And that movie went long or he got hurt, one of the two things. Again, memory's a little fuzzy on this, but he was cast as Wolverine. And then when he had to drop out at the very, very last minute, they pulled in this, unknown Australian dance number.
Right, yeah.
Musical singing thespian.
Wow.
Named Hugh Jackman. And if you look real close in the first X-Men movie, one, he's not as jacked as obviously that's fine, but he just like his hair is really crazily different in a lot of the scenes because they didn't know how they had to really refit the look of him on the fly as they were filming because they were like going to film and he was like apparently their second choice.
Talk about a life changer,
right? That's what I'm saying. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's Hollywood.
And
though.
I love Hugh Jackman.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And it's so crazy to think like, oh wow, like that almost didn't happen.
Right.
And Doug Ray Scott's he's fine, he's great. I've seen him in some other stuff. I'm sure he would have been a fine Wolverine, but it's like I love Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, he's amazing. I think a lot of people can't picture anybody else in the role now. It's one of those things that was meant to be.
Yeah. Which, God, I really hope not to get off too much of a Joe tangent here, but I really hope after this Logan movie, which I'm looking so forward to, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
I hope that Fox comes to a deal with Marvel and just reboots everything with Marvel.
That'd be awesome.
Because I can't imagine another Wolverine in that non-Marvel world, and I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to. So let's look at it as a nice clean break. Do work something out with Marvel and give us a good Wolverine in the Marvel universe. That's all. That's all I'm asking.
They were able to manage something with Sony and Spider-Man.
Right.
So there you go. Why not this?
Maybe Trump can get one of his 400-pound hackers and maybe hack the Fox lot, right? Because they obviously, it wasn't the Russians that did the Sony thing. It was obviously some 400-pound guy in New Jersey.
Right, yeah.
So let's get him off his couch and into the Fox lot, and maybe we can embarrass them into,
Yeah, if that don't work, he can always, pay off a bad hombre for something. Maybe get them in there.
Sure, they're bad hombres. They certainly are. Well, all right. So enough major blood talk because I'm fascinated by this now. So when we're done recording here, I'm going to dig into it. I may have to revisit and do another file card with him soon just to get into some of this robotic arm stuff. He's the original Winter Soldier.
But you know what, Joe? Like, that's the thing. In the comics, it was never addressed, and especially in the Deke series, they redesigned him, and it wasn't there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was pretty symmetrical.
Okay.
So it really is kind of just there, and I feel like it's never acknowledged until Renegades. So yeah,
love it. I love it so much. Well, you can find Paul Galliano online. On Instagram, he's at the Paul G. On Twitter, he's at Paul Galliano, PaulGalliano. And make sure you follow him. Check out his IMDb page. Give him some good bumps on that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and you can find Joe and Joe on all those social media platforms at Joe and Joe Pod, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Please follow me. And if you're listening and super inclined, I would love it if you went to iTunes or whatever media that you use to stream your podcast and give me a review. It really helps getting the word out for the show and building an audience and growing. And we are growing, Paul. We are growing every month on month, and I'm really excited about 2017. I think we're going to get some good numbers.
You should, man. It's a great show.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. So follow me and reach out. Let me know. You know what? If you're listening and out there, you want to be a guest on the show. That's how I met Paul.
Yeah.
We ran into each other and I was like, I didn't know Paul. And he was like, hey, you want to be on the show? Okay. And we've had Ben Penserga and Brian Graham. They've been social remote guys that reached out over social media and said, I want to be on the show. And we will set it up. We'll get you on. We'll get you remotely on the show because G.I. Joe is about the fans.
Absolutely.
And Joe and Joe is about, it's about Joe. on Joe. So without further ado, here we go. Thanks again for listening. And we go into The Gods Below. Yo, Joe. So we were looking at my action figures yesterday.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I had gone through and I had replaced a lot of O-rings and screws and stuff like that, and kind of refurbished people. But as we were going through it, but then that box has traveled a little bit with me. Got shaken a little bit.
Okay.
And we found that there were a few guys that still need a little O-ring love.
Yeah, it was one of the officers, right?
Well, one of the twins was snapped in half.
Oh, one of the twins and an officer.
Yeah, I think the Cobra officer. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to go back in there and freshen them up. I want them ready for action at a moment's notice.
Yeah, and then I showed you that picture I snapped of some of my Joes from my collection back home. I got my Baroness is the one who came apart that I got to repair.
So my question to you is, where have you done repair jobs? Have you worked on that? Like, have you gone back and gotten into that?
No, not yet, because I don't typically don't have time to do that while I'm home visiting the family for the holidays, and I wasn't able to bring my figures back with me this time.
Well, the episode opens with The Gods Below. It's written by Gordon Kent. And we've got Cobra Commander sitting on a throne, Baroness there. There's some Crimson Guardsmen, and there's a doctor. Is that Dr. Marsh?
Dr. Marsh.
That's Dr. Marsh. And he's basically laying out the scenario that he found this Egyptian tomb that's going to give Cobra great power.
You've no idea
Your figure collection.
Yeah.
How many do you have still?
Not a lot. I think there's just over a dozen, maybe 15 or so.
Oh yeah.
But most importantly, I have battle helmet and hooded Cobra Commander.
Nice.
The original Destro and the original Baroness.
That's important. And if you guys remember, Paul is not only an actor, he's also a very avid cosplayer out here.
Yep.
And he cosplays as the Baron, which is a gender-bent Baroness. And his outfit looks amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I also do Cobra Commander, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He does do Cobra Commander.
Yep. That was my first one.
Yeah. So we've got a Joe convoy. Well, actually, it's not really a Joe convoy. It's a military convoy. And it just got attacked by Cobra. Okay.
I know. Go there.
There's a camel. So Cobra is riding ATVs, and there's helicopters. I think I saw a Fang helicopter, ATVs, and all this weaponry. And Cobra Commander is on a camel.
Yep.
Okay.
With Dr. Marsh.
and wait,
Did you
and
see them
look-
just switch places?
Yeah, but the camel beat the vehicles to the location.
Yep.
What?
Because Cobra Commander, he's got to be first.
I understand that. And I understand that camels are not necessarily slow desert creatures, but they're not as fast as an ATV.
No.
This is pretty cool. Duke, is it Lady J? And Barbecue,
it was Barbecue.
Barbecue and Alpine and Bazooka. They were hiding in the hijacked military vehicles.
Yeah.
Because they knew Cobra was up to no good.
Yeah, but why did they wait this long to be like, okay, let's get them?
Because I think this is a secret location. They didn't know where. It was going.
Oh, okay.
They needed Cobra to lead them to it. But
Gotcha.
then look at we flip it around. We flip it around, and Cobra let G.I. Joe go in first.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like
a trap within a trap,
right? A double cross. Like.
What would Admiral Akbar think about that?
It's a trap.
It's a double trap.
It's a double trap.
Look at funny. Yeah.
Which in Rogue One they had that white shelled Calmarian.
Yeah,
which I was really hoping. I know the actor who voiced Akbar passed away. Maybe that's why they didn't use him.
But he sounded the same.
Yeah, he did sound the same, and he looked cool.
Yeah,
he looked cool. Also, a quick Rogue One tangent. I like that they used the Calmarians and their cruisers in that battle of Scarif because. That explains why they weren't over the planet when the Death Star attacked, because that would have been like a couple days later. Because you remember, like we don't see any of those Calamari cruisers until the very, very end of Empire.
That's right.
And it's like, where were they all throughout the first movie? And it's because they were still at the planet dealing with that planet's battle.
Awesome, yeah.
Which I really love. Like it's a subtle.
Yeah, I mean, Rogue One, it kind of bridged the gap between a lot of things that were going on.
Well, speaking of bridging gaps, as we know, we love bridge layers on this show.
Of course,
the Joes are as they're wont to do in an Egyptian temple. Of course, there's always traps. I feel like the ancient Egyptians were the kings of traps. Everything's a trapdoor. Everything is a secret panel that you can't touch. And the Joes are pulling an Indiana Jones, and they're venturing into this tunnel.
Very
or
much so.
tunnel. Not a tunnel. What is it?
It's
a
a
temple.
tomb,
It's a
temple.
tomb.
It's like a
like a
What was that?
pyramid.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
like a submerged.
It's very Indiana Jones, like you
Very
said. The
Indiana
vibe.
Jones.
Yeah.
Pretty spooky. Osiris was slain by his brother, Set, and restored to eternal life.
The
by
animation
Isis,
on
his
this
wife.
episode is slightly different.
But Osiris
a little
decided
wonky.
his
Look at
true
Duke's
place was
face.
in the world
So I
of the
think-
dead, and returned there
I
to rule.
feel like this
And
might have
this
been like,
tomb was
maybe a secondary
supposedly
house. It just
gateway
looks
to-
different. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like because I always notice Cobra Commander, he's like got some weird lines going on sometimes too.
Yeah.
It's different for sure.
Yeah.
See what else is up
It's a
there.
little clunkier than I usually like my Joes.
uh-huh.
But the models are on point though.
Interesting though, what I was going to point out is I don't know if you saw Baroness with that whip earlier.
Oh,
That's one of the things I remember. They kind of play up the dominatrix aspect in this episode, and later she threatens someone, and she actually like
does she really?
Yeah, she like is smacking the
smacks
whip
her
in her
hand with it?
hand in a very suggestive kind of way.
That's hilarious. Okay, this is great. They're in an underground temple.
Go this way.
Buried underneath tons of sand. Who knows how much, and Bazooka's idea.
Just firing
just
off, yeah.
fire a rocket to
like-
blow a hole into a room.
It might
And
collapse
he's
on us, but
yeah. Well, they go in a room and yet another ancient Egyptian trap, and the room starts spinning. This is like when you go to the carnival,
yeah,
and it's that room that spins, that centrifugal
the gravitron.
Yeah, the centrifugal force throws you up against the wall. So that's what happened there, except eventually it releases them and throws them into another room.
That did it.
Lots
No
of
way out.
really advanced door technology for the Egyptians.
The Egyptians were ahead of the game,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah. But you see how like their faces are a little chunkier, a little blockier?
Yeah.
It's not as smooth. Scrap Iron shows
Yeah.
up.
Nice.
He just did his file card. And he's gonna shoot some missiles, and they're gonna
bury him alive.
They're gonna bury him alive. So we're waiting on Scrap Iron to pull that trigger as we go into the commercial break.
Return after these messages.
Today's file card feature is on the G.I. Joe mine detector, codenamed Tripwire. The Tripwire's file name is, get ready for it, Tormod S. Skoog. You heard me. Tormod S. Skoog. His primary military specialty is the explosive ordnance disposal. His secondary military specialty is demolitions. His birthplace is Hibbing, Minnesota. And he's a grade E4. Tripwire dropped out of high school at a naval base in Yokosuka, Japan. His father was career Navy. He spent 2 years in a Zen monastery pondering the meaning of life and was expelled for breaking too many dishes and spilling every conceivable liquid. Joining the Army at 19 and receiving spiritual awakening on the grenade range, he was proficient with all NATO and Warsaw Pact explosives, detonators, ignition initiators, and blasting mechanisms. He's qualified expert M1911A1 auto pistol. Tripwire freaks people out. He's always clumsy, jittery, and dropping things except when he's working with high explosives. Explosives are the only things that calm him down. All right, let's circle back to Tormod S. Skoog. And I don't mean to slander any great Skoogs out there in the audience, but this name is kind of ridiculous. So I looked it up. Tormod has a Gaelic origin, and Skoog has a Nordic origin, so like Norwegian or Swedish, and saying that he's from Minnesota. So that makes me think that Larry Hama, who I'm assuming named him, had for a history of him to be some kind of descendant of Vikings or Nordic descent, coming from Minnesota, having a name like Tormod S. Skoog. Listen, I'm just saying, possibly that's why he never really caught on as a character. As a toy, he's pretty awesome. He comes with the mine detector, the metal detector unit. He's got a really different look from than most of the early Joes, where he's got the full helmet that covers his whole head, and basically he's wearing a blast suit is what it is. And I do love that they have him being clumsy, even though he's the demolitions expert. That came into play in the episode, the Captives of Cobra episode that we did with Aubrey Sitterson, where they were dealing with the crystals that were very delicate, and they had Tripwire head towards him, and he, of course, tripped on himself. I've always enjoyed Tripwire. I've never looked very closely at his file name. And now that I have, I kind of wish I hadn't. So, Tormod S. Skoog, I wonder what the S stands for, a.k.a. Tripwire, we salute you.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
So there he is, silent old scrap iron, about to launch some missiles. Now,
With the treasure of Osiris.
treasure of Osiris is down there. So why would... Yeah, I think Cobra Commander just realized what was going to happen, that they're going to lose the treasure.
Right.
The whole reason they're there is to kill 5 Joes.
Lady J reminded him. You know?
Right, exactly. So because Cobra Commander could hear them talking throughout like a trick of the temple or something like that. So he sends a bunch of Crimson Guardsmen down there to kind of route them out.
Who are also just blasting through walls like bazooka. With
Totally
no
blast.
regard for
Totally.
the structural integrity.
And Duke just threw, and I'm even with the help of the others, he just threw that wall. That's wall made of stone.
Yeah,
He
that's...
threw that like that was paper. Lady J dropped some kung fu on the guy.
Yep.
What's going on?
Yeah, there's a weird,
I'm trying to
like,
listen.
they're listening to each other. Oh, that is so... I'm out.
Yeah, you can't...
I'm
It's a
out.
little too slapstick
I'm
for you, huh?
out. Bazooka, okay. So there was like a peeping Tom hole in the wall, okay, which, you know, there's another term for that, but we're not going to use it.
Not going to go there.
And Cobra Commander, that's what Commander's been listening to them through the whole time. Bazooka just shot a bazooka into it.
Uh-huh.
And it just, a little exhaust hit Cobra Commander in the face.
With
It
an
was like,
over-the-top, oh, my ears reaction.
I'm out. And now the Joes have now escaped. They've left the tunnels, but they're wearing the outfits of the Crimson Guardsmen, which that's a cool. That's awesome.
She's got the whip.
Yeah, see how she animation's weird. She's off model, but yeah, she's whipping. She's threatening them with punishment.
You'll join us, Dr.
Man, he's all wonky too. His helmet, especially, looks so many different shapes in
Yeah.
this episode. In the last little scene, his sigil on his jacket was white instead of red.
Right. I feel like this might have unfortunately been like a precursor to like they did whoever ended up doing the DIC episodes.
Oh yeah,
Was like, hey, we did this great Gods Below Us episode. Let us take over the
Yeah.
show.
I believe
and so
that.
far, the episode itself is not too crazy. I mean, granted,
It's still within the realm of G.I. Joe.
yeah, it's still sort of in there, in that Indiana Jones vein of like, okay, there's a mystical world, but they're just it's an old world.
Yeah.
And that's what's neat about stuff like Indiana Jones or this one in a way where they're not exactly saying that the mysticism or whatever the special magic that they're discovering, it's not necessarily vital today or alive today, but it's an old world magic. And that's what they're discovering. You know what I mean? I think that's a good difference.
No, I would agree with that. Unfortunately, though, the show will take more of an Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull turn in a little bit.
I know.
But I still enjoy it.
Let's not go there yet. But yeah, there's like a level of believability, I think, for viewers when when you're discovering something old and ancient versus like if the Joes found like, hey, currently there were all these Egyptian gods living on the street, then you're like, really? Like they're living among us kind of a thing. This is they've unleashed a power that's been locked away for centuries,
Yeah.
And that's a little more believable. Cobra Commander just he took, he realized the Joes were up to no good. And he went to the main chamber to kind of try to grab the thing, and a bunch of like gas, again, another safety device by the Egyptians, just released and was kind of gassing out the Cobras. The Joes, meanwhile, are in a completely different trap, and they're getting sunk into the earth. I did like the commentary of Lady J about that it's hard to breathe in those uniforms.
Yeah, the Crimson Guard helmet.
Yeah, which is pretty neat. It's a nice acknowledgement, like the real world. Like, what would it really be like to wear one of these completely covered face masks all the time?
With minimum vision.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Okay. And now we go to commercial with a giant glowing Osiris god looming over the team.
It's unacceptable! Look! G.I. Joe is beating us in the snow!
G.I. Joe is fighting Cobra, the enemy on land, sea, and air. G.I. Joe, American hero.
And he's beating us in the air!
Joe's chasing Cobra in a desperate race, soaring and diving in a great sky chase. A real American hero.
There's only one man who can help us.
It's him. What's
What's in store for G.I. Joe? Find out in Marvel Comics.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
And here we go into Crystal Skull territory, as Paul mentioned.
Yes.
Sent by my evil brother.
And since Destro makes no appearance in this episode, they had to utilize the talents of Arthur Burghardt for
Of course,
this character.
of course, the voice, absolutely.
Men know of Osiris's eternal war with Set.
And yeah, so now we're talking Osiris's war with Set. I'm sorry if I feel defeated by this, but I'm.
hate
This is terrible. This is not what I want G.I. Joe to be.
I mean, it's not really for me either, but I just remember loving this episode when I was young and
yeah.
saw
I mean,
it, you know.
it's fantastical ideas and it's fun, but folks,
not G.I.
we're
Joe.
literally watching giant. You know what? Wait a minute. Did you see the movie Gods of Egypt?
No, I did
That's
not.
what this is. Because remember in that movie, they even said that you didn't see it. So in the movie Gods of Egypt, which is a mess of a movie,
You may
but
pass on into the valley of eternal life.
the conceit is that the gods do live day to day with you.
Oh, okay.
But like Gerard Butler and whoever else plays the gods, they're literally 10 feet tall.
Oh, okay.
So like they did special effects. So like
Right.
you're a normal size 6 foot dude.
Okay.
And then the gods would be like twice your size.
All right.
And that's kind of what we're seeing here.
Absolutely.
That's not a glowing recommendation though. Because Gods of Egypt is objectively a terrible
Right?
movie.
No, I've heard that. But you know, it's funny though, because like there's a lot of talk that G.I. Joe, a lot of these episodes have influenced like so many films and stuff through the time. Like for the episode Primordial Plot,
Yeah.
where they revive the dinosaurs, which is one of my favorites. Apparently, that predates Jurassic Park.
No.
No, seriously.
No.
no, am
The
I off?
novel Jurassic Park was written in the wasn't that written in the 70s? I mean, it predates the movie, of course.
Yeah, it predates the movie, but I thought I had heard that it was even before the novel. But you
Really?
can fact check me
no.
on that.
I'm
I don't
gonna
want to.
You
okay.
give me a little more. Give me a little more talk on that. I'm going to find out when Jurassic Park the novel was written.
All right. Well, I'm going to go back to the episode a little bit here because now we have another. I forget this one's name, but he's now trying to recruit the Cobras to work for him.
Right.
And of course, Cobra Commander is going to make his false promises.
Now, Baroness is a big part of this episode.
Yeah.
What originally attracted you to do her as cosplay?
Well, I like the bad guys. What's up?
You're totally right.
Okay.
I never realized this. Jurassic Park was written in 1990.
There you go.
But based off, I mean, because Westworld was from the 70s. That's why I thought
Yeah,
he also
yeah,
wrote
with
Jurassic
Yul
Park
Brynner.
in the 70s. Yeah. But no, you're totally right. Oh,
Okay.
that's interesting, then.
Right? And
I've
so then
never
some
thought
people
of that
say,
connection,
well,
yeah.
did Crichton
Okay.
see that? Was he influenced by
Really?
that episode of G.I. Joe?
I'm down with it. But tell me more about your Baroness.
So
fashion.
basically, Cobra Commander's my number one. I cosplayed him, and I wanted to try something new, but I didn't want to do Destro and the other guys. But I've always thought she was so cool and such a prominent part of Cobra, and I didn't want to cross-dress, so I said, you know what? I'm going to gender bend it. That's popular these days.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's doing that, so I'm just going to turn the Baroness into the Baron, and went from there. And I got to say, it was hands down the most difficult costume I've ever made out of all the ones I've done.
It's how long did it take you to build it?
Weeks.
Really?
Yeah, without sleep, like working every day. Yeah, up until the point where I went to walk to the con, I had just finished it.
Wow. What was San Diego?
San Diego
That's
was
where
where
you
I
debuted
debuted
it.
Mhm.
I've seen you at cons with it, and you always get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Like you always look dynamite with it.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, and people really love it.
What do we have to do?
Okay,
Survive.
so the Joes are now floating on a giant space ankh
Yes.
in space, talking to gods,
Fiercest of his daughters.
and the gods are telling them whatever challenge they have to accomplish. They have to fight this griffin-looking dude that's flying through space. You've lost me. Alpine just fell off into space. Bazooka jumps after him.
He just jives
Like
right after.
literally, man. Like, give me 10,000 Battle Force 2000s before you give me this episode.
Really?
I will take the Ecto Squad
Oh man.
before I take this episode. I will take who's the drug dealer of Cobra, the Pusher Man, or what's
Oh
his,
yeah, from series
yeah,
2.
yeah. What's his name? like
I forget.
I will take that guy a million times.
I will
before I watch more of these episodes, or before I desire to watch more of these episodes.
Okay, you and I differ there, but what I will say about the drug dealer that you mentioned in the other series is at least that's the only time that I know of that they ever killed someone in a G.I. Joe show.
Yes, and Cobra was against him.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering this correctly.
I'm trying to remember.
Like Cobra Commander was not happy with what that guy was doing because it's like they wanted to say even Cobra hates drugs.
Yes. Yeah. They're just bad any way you slice it.
Well, that's down the road.
Yeah.
So this giant serpent, well, it's Set. This is Set, the giant serpent-headed god. He's talking to Cobra Commander. I mean, people think people give Cobra La crap, right? But at least Cobra La was a sound. This might be a stretch, but a sound physical concept of an ancient civilization that happened to be descended from snakes. And they lived, and they've gone lost into like a hidden city, kind of a thing,
under the ice dome.
Yeah, at least there was just some kind of actual. This is all kinds of.
It's all
magic,
over the place.
Mystical.
I mean, did you see the amount of treasure that he just conjured?
Oh yeah,
it's I gotta say though, as a Cobra Commander fan, I like how Set was like, "You have to prove yourselves to me," and they cut away to a scene with the Joes. They cut back. Cobra Commander's on his knees, bowing, proving that he honors the snake. And then his first question is, "Haven't we proved ourselves enough? My knees are hurting." It's like that's just a classic Cobra Commander.
That's really good.
Whining or
My
whatever.
knees are
He's like,
well, but he's not wrong though. I'll tell you this, he's not wrong. They're an international terrorist organization dedicated to snakes, and to reptiles of all kind.
Yes.
If anyone's proven themselves to a snake god, it's Cobra.
Yes.
Like when they showed up, the Set should have been like, "Hey, come on in. You done good work.
Yeah.
We're all good.
You guys are wearing my symbol.
Yeah, you've got nothing to prove to me. You are all good."
Yes, we'll be back very soon.
He's such a liar.
He's such a liar. Yeah, they're escaping with treasure, and it's just everyone's. That is what's cool about this episode, though. Everyone is double crossing everyone else.
Yeah,
and that's kind of neat.
Constantly.
Yeah. So this is a very Indiana Jones moment. As they bring the treasure out of the cave, everything starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
And kind of like in Last Crusade, where you couldn't take the chalice, the grail,
past
you
a
couldn't
certain
take the grail
point.
past the seal. The Joes are traveling what may be like the River Styx or something, and that might be, is that Charon or
or
I don't know.
Exactly it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
and he's the one. Or I think they just call him the ferryman or something.
Yeah, and so he's ferrying the Joes back to safety or whatever. I love that it takes like the Joes are helping gods. Like what?
Yeah.
Really, what are you doing? And frankly, Cobra too. Like, what does Cobra? What do the gods need with Cobra's help?
Seriously, yeah. He's like,
yeah. So now they're trying to escape in a rattler. There's a giant.
Now the boat's flying.
Yeah, there's the boats now. The boat's flying after the rattler. They're not in space. They're in regular. Oh man! And now as they shoot the rattler out of the sky that has Commander and Baroness in it, and he loses his treasure, of course.
Nice catch. Take her down, dog face.
Dog face.
Term of endearment.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
Listen, even in the worst scenarios, you can't take the character out of G.I. Joe, and that's what's great.
Absolutely.
Let's swing this on a positive note. The characters are still in character the whole time, and I 100% appreciate that, and I love that.
Yeah, even though they're thrown in these outrageous scenarios.
Totally. So would I prefer him not being crazy scenarios like this? Yes. But Duke calls him Dogface. Like, all this stuff is great. Alpine. I mean, Bazooka just shooting holes in a wall. As stupid as it is awesome because that's what Bazooka does. He doesn't wait for anyone to just help me blow a hole in the wall.
He's just the big lug with the bazooka.
Yeah. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
I got to point out, I got to say one thing, though. Did you notice? I love that Lady J had time to have the Crimson Guard uniform that she swiped from the other guard, tailored to fit her perfectly.
Well,
you see how great her hips look.
sure,
and she's like svelte and
yeah. I mean, she's a good-looking lady, and she doesn't want. Hey, let's call back to the start of the show. She doesn't want to look like the bad guy from Commando.
That's right.
She wants her clothes to be tailored.
No frumpy uniform for
No
her.
frumpy uniform for her. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. For the gods below, thank you for listening. And on behalf of G.I. Joe, thank you for watching that episode. There have been better.
You know what? There have, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's silly fun.
Well, that's what I love about you, Paul Galliano, is that you've got an unquenchable love for G.I. Joe.
It's true.
And even episodes like this, you see the bright side. So I'm really glad we did this with you, because anyone else, it would have been. I would have rage quit halfway through the episode. So,
well, I'm glad I kept you motivated.
All right. So once again, you can find Paul at the Paul G on Instagram, at Paul Galliano on Twitter, and most importantly, everybody listening, go to Amazon and watch Now What ? And you'll be able to see our boy in as the lead in a six episodes.
6 episodes.
6 episode series, which they're talking about doing a second season.
They
maybe?
are. Luckily, the network said it's doing really well, so they're mentioning season 2. So God willing, it'll happen.
Man, I'm so excited for you. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, man.
You're doing great. You're really knocking it out. And again, find me at Joe and Joe Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and send me an email at joeandjoepod@gmail.com and let me know if you want to be a guest on the show. I'm happy to have you. So until next time, now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.